We had another fatality in the open relationship world.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Aubrey Marcus.
Yeah.
And Whitney, whatever her last name is.
Not Marcus. Yeah.
They have broken up after 7 years.
So for those
as two people who used to do open relationships.
Yeah.
His story felt very similar to ours.
Well, we haven't talked about this. So we did open relationships.
Exactly. Yeah. That's why I thought it'd be interesting.
Yeah.
So another fatality, another one bites the dust.
So,
similar lessons learned.
And I think before we even get into this, relationships end, period.
Yeah.
That's what they do, right? Open, closed, whatever. Particularly when you're not married. You think marriage has a not good chance before you're married?
Oh, yeah.
It's probably not
I wonder
gonna
what
last.
percentage of relationships, if you're just like, you're pre-marriage, what are the odds this lasts till you die?
Sure.
I wonder what it would be.
Single
digits for sure,
do
but
your
I'm
own
just
life.
Yeah.
Right. And another thing is, it's not a failure if you learn, grow, have a wonderful time with that person,
And
etc.
if it was enjoyable when you did it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the best case scenario. The problem is when it's good for a certain period of time and then it lasts twice that length.
Yeah.
That's when you have an issue.
Yeah. But no, I listened to it. I haven't listened to a ton of his podcasts. I knew that he was out there doing this. But we did open relationships, and one of the things that we experienced...
Not with each other, just to clarify.
Well, kind of, right? It's like, what are you doing today? I'm going to go hang out with Ben. What about... Ben as well tomorrow.
Yeah, true. We don't make love to each other, but we do make girlfriends jealous. That's true.
But, so, I think we both did it from a desire to not feel constrained, which I know a lot of people, men and women, feel when they enter into a relationship. Not everybody, but you can't... You like this person, you love this person, but that doesn't stop you from desiring to get to know, be attracted to other people. Mm-hmm. And that was what we felt. And so we're like, okay, I want to try this. It exists out there in the world. Let's give it a go. Mm-hmm. And, if, fair is fair. If I'm going to do it, then you need that freedom too. And often the women that we dated were like, I don't really want that. I don't, want to go out.
I dated someone who, so we was like, we have to do this exactly the same because that's what's a good relationship.
Yeah.
So we'll both hook up with other people. And she's like, I don't really have that desire. I was like, well, but you should because I read a book on it. There's a lot of really bad books on open relationships. Yeah. I had such a good, well-intentioned heart doing this. But I was like, we'll both do it and it'll be great. And she hooked up with somebody and then called me and was crying. She was like, I hated it. And I was like, well, but the book said...
Let me refer to
like, I
chapter
couldn't
6.
process the experience and just be like, this isn't for you, and we don't need to have a perfect mirror. Like, sure, I paid for everything. We didn't have a mirror in that regard.
Yeah.
But instead, I was just like, well, hold on. I don't know what to do here. Let me look up what other people say.
Yeah.
Ignore this personal experience I had.
Yeah.
And it was just stupid of me. And it sounded like Aubrey was in a similar... Well, different in the fact that they did both want to hook up with other people. But
yeah. Well, what I related to, and the jealousy and the trying to talk yourself out of it. I was like, whew.
For people who don't know, Aubrey has publicly said his relationship was open and he hated when she would hook up other people.
Maybe not every time, but there were times.
Nauseous.
Yeah.
It would make him feel terrible. He would be upset for hours.
Yeah.
But in his mind, and I've done this and you've done this, it's like the increase in happiness of it being open outweighs the decrease in happiness of it being open. And so we'll do it. You know what I mean? It'll be a seesaw. I'll be happy. You'll be sad. You'll be happy.
Well,
I'll be
additionally,
sad.
there's a hope that you'll grow. There's a hope that what you recognize is that this possessiveness that I feel is, one, not tenable. Because I can't own you. I can't ensure that you will never cheat on me. I can't, none of this is guaranteed anyway. So why pretend, right? And so there's this desire to grow and to be able to love someone without possessing them. And you're like, that's a noble goal.
It sounds nice.
And it sounds nice. And what I will tell you is that doing an open relationship like that taught me that I'm not as malleable as I thought I was. I grew up, I was like, anything is possible. Like, maybe I can't play in the NBA, but any emotion I want to create, anything, I can respond, I can choose my response. Man, that's not my experience.
Yeah, you did everything. You did NLP, hypnosis.
Yeah.
I don't even remember what else. You did a lot. Tapping.
I have so much respect, and it doesn't mean that you're fixed, but for your biological firmware, your biological hardware. I imagine it would be like if you're straight, trying to talk yourself into being gay, or if you're gay, trying to talk yourself into being straight through the power of positive thinking.
And the flip side is, I have a friend who's in an open relationship, and he just likes it.
Yeah.
I had to battle jealousy and read books on jealousy.
Yeah.
I brought a book called The Jealousy Workshop for people who have open relationships. I asked him, how's it going? He goes, oh, it's dope. It's great. I'm dating someone else. She's dating someone else. It's awesome. I like him. We get along. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
What about the struggle? He's like,
did you do the workbook?
Yeah. What do you mean? He's like, what do you mean? I just like it. It's great.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, you're who's supposed to be in an open relationship. Like,
what I come to think is that you have to explore and find out how you are built, and that creates the possibilities for you in the world. And I didn't think that was the case. I maybe one day I'll change, I'll overcome,
well, there's a
I'll feel
difference.
differently.
I was even talking to a friend of mine. He's engaged, not married, and they're not completely anyone can do anything. They have an open with rules, monogamish. You know, we can hook up with other people when we are traveling or whatever it might be. And I was talking, he's like, oh man, it's going really well. It's going really well. Like, I've gotten to the point where it doesn't even bother me. I was like, well, hold on. Define doesn't bother you. As long as it's someone that she doesn't know and it's just once a month, and we've made rules that there can't be relationships with emotions, it'll just be sexual. Well, those are going to break.
Yeah.
Over the course of a lifetime, you're going to sleep with someone and she's going to sleep with someone and it's going to last a year, but you won't get attached. That's going to break. Like, your relationship can't be based on that, because the other thing is what is forbidden just becomes desired. So, oh, you can only see this woman once a week and you can only text her once a day. When she texts you, you're just going to be like, 7 p.m., 7 p.m., can't wait. She sends you a nude or something. You're going to just be dying to see her. And it's actually going to devalue your primary relationship, because we just want what we can't have. And I asked him, I was like, when you say it's going well, do you mean it excites you, or do you mean you can stomach it? Like, what if she did it every single day? No, that would break us. Like, we've tried that. It's like, I don't think you like open. I think you might be enjoying this thing that is destined to break when one of you breaks the rules. But yeah, you're not my buddy who just is into this and doesn't need any restrictions because he doesn't mind it.
And there's nothing wrong with being in a relationship that has a visible end in sight. There's there's
sure.
nothing
I
wrong
was
with
just
that.
I mean, this is more for anyone who's listening, who's thinking about this or who's doing it, because I thought that made sense to do. And what I've realized is, I think if you are in a relationship where the rules upset you, so you make more rules to try to be less upset, you are not as well off as if you just found a relationship where with no rules, you each did what made the other one happy.
Well, there's always rules in relationships, right? We just have a default, which is you're not allowed to kiss, sleep with, or...
Well, I'm saying maybe that's not for you if you don't like that. I'm saying whatever your rules are, like, figure out what you want, what you genuinely want. Like, that woman I was dating, she just wanted to see me, so that's what she should have done.
Got it.
You know
Got it. Yeah.
She didn't need a rule. She didn't need a restriction saying, hey, don't hook up with other people. She just genuinely didn't want to. And when like, pushed to for our personal growth, she didn't like it.
Yeah.
So it's like, we don't need a rule. You just don't want to.
Yeah.
Whereas they have this rule where his woman would like to, and so they restrict it, and he would like to, so they restrict it. I think that's tough.
Sure.
That's tough.
That's all tough. I mean, the biggest thing with relationships, I mean, we said, one, most of them fail. But two, most people pretend that they won't. And I think that's the problem.
Yeah.
Is not that there's nothing wrong with relationships. It's the idea of relationships and the reality of relationships couldn't be more different.
We're also we're somehow told or messaged that we should not say when things are bad, because I've noticed with couples, even when I know them well and I know things are just falling apart, like we're on the border of a divorce, that day there will be an Instagram post about my person, my love, my queen, my king. It's like, you don't have to post it all. You can post with your friends, but it's weird to me that you will have a horrible fight and then an hour later post about
that's
your
necessary.
king or your queen.
That's necessary. And I think that exposes what a relationship is for. And that's probably the thing that ruins relationships, is that it's not just for you two. It's to be seen by the world. And that is, I think, what screws so many of them up. Because if you were just focused on how the relationship is between me and you, it'd be easier to split.
Yeah.
But when it's got this performative thing on Instagram, and by the way, this is a tried and true rule, look to how often someone posts on Instagram for an indication of their mental health. If you see a spike in posts, they're having a horrible time.
Yeah, and they're trying to feel good.
Exactly.
If
you see a dip, they're busy doing important things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they're just involved in their life. And so yeah, more posts, particularly when they're inspirational and happy. Whew,
and weirdly enough, I've
some
noticed
bad stuff.
The happiest couples I know don't post often about their relationship. They'll like be together.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, really enjoying Machu Picchu, and they're in the photo together. But this is just my anecdotal experience, but the people who write huge captions about how great things are going in their relationship are often having the worst time.
Yes. Yeah. You have to kind of do that to affirm that it's okay. But even going back a step to the split in what we expect, and I realized this when I had a breakup, and I was in an Uber, and I was not feeling good, and I think I'm gonna marry you came on the radio.
Oh, dude,
and I was like, come on, not this song, not this song. And then the next song came on, and it was Thinking Out Loud. When you're lazy, and I was just like, oh my God, like, what is happening here?
Dude, the power of music. I told you this when I was 23. I was in a relationship I wanted to end. I was unhappy. I had tried to end it before. I had guilt issues at the time. So if I wanted to end a relationship and the woman felt that she didn't want to end it, I just wouldn't. I would try, and then she'd cry, and then I'd just say, okay, I'll take you back. And I was sitting at her house with her family at one point, and this song came on. I forget what it was, but it was some romantic John Mayer
Hey there,
song.
Delilah.
Yeah, something.
Yeah.
And I sat there and I was like, maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I shouldn't end this relationship. Maybe what I have... Maybe I'm undervaluing what I have. And I started to have all this doubt. That ends, and then California Girls by Katy Perry comes on with Snoop Dogg. And I was like, oh my God. I almost just got hypnotized.
Yeah, you did. And we talked about hypnosis. This is happening. It happens when you come back from vacation or you come back from a retreat, you don't realize how much stimulus that you don't notice is getting into your brain. And every movie, every song, everything has an idealized notion of relationships. I mean, you like get together at the end and it's just perfect. I think I'm going to marry you. It's a crazy day. Let's just do it. Like,
well, most movies, they end with the couple getting together, which is so funny because like we just talked about, 95% of those end. And even if it's like a marriage, that is the end of the movie, which oftentimes it's not. Oftentimes it's just we're dating. That will end. And so it's interesting because we romanticize the getting together part. And we don't really acknowledge that much in our songs and our pop culture and all the messaging we get from the age of 5, how hard it is.
Yeah.
It's just very interesting.
Yeah. And I think that's why so many people I think this is probably the era, because I look at people who have mastered wealth, mastered their fitness. And I mean, it's just like they have that on lock. Relationships seem to be the thing where there's the most fraudsters. And I mean this in the most kind way possible, where they are posing as if things are good, pretending, maybe even teaching others, and struggling mightily to make it work. And I think it's not because they're bad people. It's because the ideal towards which they are striving never existed. It's a romantic thing that was written by people in songs and tales of knights and chivalry. And they're just aimed at an impossible goal.
I have a friend, and she was dating someone, and she really loved him, and he really loved her, but they were having some issues. So they thought that getting married would fix it. So they got married. It was still on the rocks, but they really loved each other and they wanted to make it work.
Baby.
They had a baby.
Yeah.
And then eventually they had to break up. And because the way that things have been messaged to them from society and family, they felt uncomfortable breaking up after 4 years of dating. They're breaking up after 12 years of dating, including marriage and having a baby. Yeah. And they're still broken up. And I don't have any takeaways there except for that it's hard, and we are hurt by the fact that we want so badly to make these things work that we'll try to trick ourselves and pretend that they are working.
Yeah, I mean, we could talk about this too long, but we'll wrap it soon. People talk about finding their person, right? They know not to say the one anymore because the one doesn't exist, but they just want to find their person.
Yeah. And one of my exes said I was her person. It's so flattering.
Yeah.
That's the thing. My front brain is very rational, but in my soul, I'm very romantic.
It's built into you, man. And it's your cultural soul. That's
the
other thing. To be clear, if you were born in the 1700s, you wouldn't have that.
Oh, no, not at all. You'd just be a monster by today's standards.
It wouldn't exist. All of these things were in the movies and songs you've been force-fed your entire life. And I think...
Well, it's also nice to be idealized like that.
Yeah.
To be told that you're my person. There's no one on the planet better for me than you.
Yeah.
That feels really good. That's a good ego boost.
Chime in. We've talked about a lot. I'm super curious because we've been all over the map with relationships. We'll get to a different topic, but I'd love to hear what the audience out there... This is why we need phone calls for this. Because you and I can become an echo chamber.
Yeah. Should we just do hard transfers with no transitions?
Sure, absolutely. Well, there's one other thing that I want to say, which is I would love to see, you know how they did the Blue Zone study of like health?
Yeah.
I would love to see a Blue Zone study of relationships.
Oh, me too.
I highly suspect small communities in religion lead to satisfaction with your partner.
But staying together or satisfaction?
Definitely staying together, maybe satisfaction.
Okay, definitely staying together.
Yeah. But anyway.
Questionable satisfaction.
I'm curious.